So in the case that I'm a new landowner who has just bought a piece of property and is looking to develop a home, what's the first thing that I should do?
It's really important to touch base with the county, both land use and public health, to help you through the process, determining what permits might be needed and to really answer and ask questions that you may not have thought about. Really thinking about what are the future plans for the property, thinking about where your well will go, where your neighbor's well currently is, where your home might be sited, where your septic system might need to go, your driveway, looking at the utilities that are either already there or coming to the property, rights of way that might already be unusable parts of land. So really thinking about the entire project.
So people at the county health office can help me to know which permits I need to get and who I need to talk to. How do I decide on contacting an engineer and how to go about that process?
Again, most locals will have a list of professionals that do work in that area, so they'll give you lots of resources for professionals. And think about the questions you might want to ask them and things to consider, and really making sure to get several estimates and bids before you hire somebody.
What are the questions that one would want to ask an environmental engineer?
I think you would really, again, think about the overall project you have in mind, so that before they design a system, they really get a good understanding of what you want to do on your property, what work they've done. So kind of getting their track record, I think, is important to make sure this is somebody that you're going to be able to trust.
So through the design, installation, and then final inspection process, the local or county health department is very involved. What about after the system is finished?
That's really where the responsibility is turned over to the homeowner. We have a lot of resources on how to maintain a septic system and are there as a resource throughout the life of that septic system, but it's really up to the homeowner then to take care of it.
So when a person is looking to buy a piece of property with an existing home and a septic system, what are some of the considerations they want to keep in mind?
Again, I think the local public health folks can be a good resource to identify what existing systems are there, that they do have permits, they were inspected and approved, that they're also sized appropriately for the home that's there. Sometimes homeowners have added additions without increasing the leach field in the septic system so that it can actually accommodate new wastewater flows. It's important to also have the septic system inspected. Many locals may have resources on professionals who can do that inspection for them and have the tank pumped so that they know that the system that they're going to be buying is working properly. If you've identified that this system is very old, that might be a point of negotiation that you need to think about replacement somewhere in the near future.
Can you tell us what one of the first things that a homeowner does when they get ready to build?
Well, when you first get your lot, you're going to need water first of all, and then once you get water, you'll need a way to treat that water. So we normally recommend that a landowner will coordinate with a well driller and a septic system engineer. That can be a civil engineer or an environmental engineer that specializes in septic systems. First of all, your engineer will need a site plan, and then everyone meets on site, and so you can look at the limitations of your site and where the best place for both the well and septic would be.
When it comes to your private individual looking for getting a well drilled, often they don't. It's like, never done this before. How do I go about this? How do I know what to do? And reasonable question to ask the driller when they call, is the driller a licensed contractor? I just like to start drawing questions out of them. What's your purpose for this water? What are your needs? Then find out where they're at, because there's a lot of things that can dictate where a well is drilled. Once you start getting the septic placed, the home placed, we know where the access to the home is going to be, the driveway, where utilities are coming in, things like that. It begins to narrow down where you can put the well. You always want to think about accessibility, 5, 10, 20 years down the road. If we have the home place, where the ideal place for the septic system is, will give us our location for drilling a well. Once we have that picked out, my recommendation would always be to first drill the well. Because if we drill the well and we don't find water, then we got to do something different. And at that point, you may have to start saying, well, now we got to move the septic system. This isn't the ideal place for the septic system, but it might be the only place you're going to get water. I can't think of many things that you buy these days that have a life expectancy of 100+ years. Pump system components can fail, but the well itself is a fairly permanent item. I think the customer should feel comfortable that whoever they're getting to do the work is looking out for their best interest.
When a property owner is choosing a septic contractor, what are some of the things they should consider?
I think things to consider: reputation, experience, and the best way to probably obtain that is to ask the engineer who's designing your system, the health department, even neighbors and friends who have had systems like that put in. Make sure you get several bids and ask a lot of questions. Find out exactly what you're getting, have them put it in writing. You don't want to build a system just to merely pass inspection. You want to build it to last a long time.
So a homeowner will typically want to lay out the location of their home first. Then the next step is to lay out the septic system, beginning with the drain field. How does that process begin?
Well, once a general location for the drain field for the septic system is determined, a subsurface investigation will need to be conducted. Usually this involves digging a test pit with a backhoe, or sometimes a drill rig is used to take soil borings. And from there, different states have different procedures. Usually a soil sample is taken into a laboratory and a gradation is performed. And also where soil is present, unlike areas where there's rock present, you do percolation testing, which involves determining how much water the soil can absorb in a certain amount of time. So you can size your drain field so that the water that's going to be put into the system can absorb into the ground.
What are the considerations when determining what type of a system is going to be laid out for the septic system?
So subsurface conditions and the amount of area that you have on your site is very important. Typically the engineer is going to design a system based on their evaluation of the soils and the site limitations. The homeowner can have some input into this design by meeting with the engineer in the beginning and expressing any concerns that they may have about what type of system that they would like to put in. I think it's important to remember that regulations are the minimum standard, and there's things that we can do to release cleaner wastewater into the ground.
Can you explain the concept behind secondary treatment?
Secondary treatment really performs the same processes as a conventional septic tank and drain field would, but it provides all those same processes within the treatment vessel itself. When you get into environments and areas where soil may not be suitable to accept wastewater of poor quality, when you get in areas where density becomes an issue and concerns of the cumulative effects of pollutants become of great concern, then you would want to move into advanced secondary treatment. Advanced secondary treatment systems take a little bit more maintenance than a conventional septic system. These systems basically are small treatment plants.
Planning a water system involves laying out the location of the system components and selecting appropriate materials, sizes, and designs based on the local regulations and site conditions on your parcel. Your local health department, environmental engineer, septic contractor, and water well driller should all be involved in the process to ensure that you end up with the best design and finished product possible for your site and needs.